To say that the clan invasion upset everything in the Inner Sphere is only barely hyperbole. News and rumors of their widespread conquest seemed to build on each other to a fevered pitch. Old rivalries were pushed to the back burner while this existential threat from far outside the Inner Sphere threatened to obliterate the old order. An endless amount of resources, time, and personnel were devoted to every possible military project in hope of finding one, or a combination of many, which could stem the tide and put a stop to the invasion. Though the Lyrans, Draconis Combine, and Rosselhog bore the brunt of the damage and fighting, the other great houses of the Inner Sphere were not idle. As we've discussed in previous videos, there was an intense focus on replicating the battle armor technology that the clans used so effectively to nullify any advantage Inner Sphere infantry and vehicles had in numbers on these planets with planetary militias. One elemental could run roughshod through the lines of unaugmented soldiers, and a point or even a star of them could be enough to take out hundreds, if not thousands, of opponents. Every major Inner Sphere house wanted that technology, and not just to stop the clans. When the Free Worlds League started to make serious efforts to develop their battle armor program, in hope of replicating the elemental, they weren't alone. Historians of the 3050s and the decades beyond know well that the Free Worlds League had what it could be described as an intimate working relationship with the Word of Blake, and this would temporarily work out to the advantage of scientists who had access to technology and technical know-how that the other houses of the Inner Sphere lacked. Even though they started seriously working on designs after the other houses in October of 3054, the end results were by far the closest to the goal. However, development was not without its issues. By April of 3056, there was a functioning prototype for what would be known as the Longinus class battle armor. Like so many other programs, the goal was to replicate the clan elemental as closely as possible with the standard-sized soldier, rather than a genetically enhanced human. Unfortunately, the early tries ended up being a complete horror show, as the Longinus suits seemed to be plagued by unexpected errors. Computer systems would fail without warning, armor plates buckled under fire that should have been easily tanked, even minor run-of-the-mill things that should have been caught much earlier in the process were still being caught long after they could have been solved easily. As it turned out, the development of the battle armor with the aid of the Word of Blake did not go unnoticed by Comstar. It's uncertain if the member of the design team was placed there deliberately or just happened to be there by happenstance, but it was eventually uncovered that the designer was actively sabotaging the project. After their removal, a second updated prototype was created within 3 months that passed testing with flying colors. The name of this new battle armor class is a reference to the Longinus from biblical history who speared Christ when he was up on the cross, but ended up converting to Christianity and becoming a saint after a long life of service with his new faith. Even though tempted by authorities with bribes in exchange for denouncing the resurrection, Longinus refused to bend. He was steadfast in the defense of his beliefs, and I think that may have been the connection that the Free Worlds League designers wanted when the name was chosen. What went into full production in 3058 was the closest any Inner Sphere house could come to replicating clan elemental technology. Weighing in at 1,000 kilograms, the Longinus battle armor was a flexible platform that could match the elemental's ground speed while almost mimicking their jump jet capability. The armored protection weighs in at 360 kilograms, which just manages to reach the 9+1 level of protection. The left arm has a battle claw, which closely mimics the elemental's ability to rip armored panels from mechs and vehicles, while still being dexterous enough to carry and move objects. Also on that left arm is an anti-personnel weapon mount with a standard variety of options. As far as main weaponry goes, the right arm was designed by the Free Worlds League scientists to be a platform that provided the user or battlefield commander significant discretion concerning loadouts. The Longinus could be equipped with a flamer, small laser, machine gun, or a David light Gauss rifle. On the back of the Longinus, the researchers achieved almost their goal of adding an SRM launcher, which many other Inner Sphere designs couldn't replicate due to its weight and size of the technology involved. Unfortunately, it came with a trade-off which must be considered. The FWL designers and engineers were unable to successfully find a way to attach the missile launcher without interfering with the battle armor's jump jets. After dumping a crud ton of cash and 8 months of work into trying to make them both work together, the end result was that the Longinus could only use its jump jets once the missile launcher has been jettisoned from the battle armor. While this is a considerable downside, it's further than most of the other programs got. For those playing the home game of Stars and Battlefields, that means no jumping and no anti-battle mech swarming or leg attacks until the missiles are either fired or the player declares that the missile packs are jettisoned. While this isn't devastating, it is a quirk that has to be considered by Battlefield commanders. In its totality, the Longinus is about as close as we were going to get in those early generations of Inner Sphere battle armor to replicating the clan elemental. It wasn't perfect, it was incredibly expensive, but dang it if it didn't look the part of a dangerous armored infantryman. While there was obviously room for improvement with the design, the Free Worlds League saw the armor's potential and put it into production in 3057, with the first units being delivered to the Free Worlds League military in December of that year. Though it was used in several operations, the first widespread deployment of soldiers in the Longinus armor was in Operation Bulldog, where it would go up against their inspiration, the clan elementals. Battle reports were favorable, and though still not one-to-one with their clan cousins, the Longinus did significantly tip the balance closer to parity. In the subsequent years, the Longinus was declared a success, and production was expanded to multiple planets and factories in order to meet demand from Free Worlds League units. Almost all of them were retained by the Free Worlds League, though some limited number did end up in the ranks of the Word of Blake. Over the decades following its first development, the Longinus has been the recipient of several upgrades, and at least one notable variant. In 3079, the Principality of Regulus decided to take the supply of captured and damaged Longinus battle armors and develop an upgraded version. Sacrificing weight from the jump jets and pulling the missile rack off entirely, and also cutting a significant chunk of the armor away, what would be known as the hacked Longinus incorporated a battle armor version of the C3 targeting computer network. This experiment turned out to be a failure largely because it was an already expensive piece of equipment, made even more so with the implementation of that C3 system. Test reports included complaints that the benefits of the systems did not outweigh the cost to mobility and protection. The program ended up being shelved as just being too impractical for widespread adoption. By 3085, there was an upgraded version of the Longinus which abandoned the problematic missile launcher system entirely and devoted the weight to improved weaponry and magnetic clamps for riding armor and mechs into battle. It was armed with a standard machine gun and a heavy machine gun, which forged the battle armor into a powerful short-range brawler. By 3150, Clan Wolf had access to enough of the Longinus battle armor laying around that some intrepid tech or scientists decided to give them an upgrade with clan gear. The Longinus C carries a one-shot SRM-4 into battle, which is a huge boost in firepower and a welcome one. Main weapon upgrades include a medium battle armor recoilless rifle or a support PPC. The Longinus C also has upgraded armor to match the standard elemental's protection, not too shabby. The Wolf Empire recognized their value and constructed 2 factories to produce the Longinus C for second-line units that were not graced with the higher-tech clan designs. Interestingly, it retains that quirk that requires detaching that missile pod before jumping. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news there. Overall, I think the Longinus is a solid addition to the pantheon of Inner Sphere battle armor. As far as first runs go at replicating the elemental, we need to give credit where it is due. Good job, Purple Bird. I'm curious if there are any listeners out there who have used the Longinus in battle, and if it fared well or if it was a disaster. Big thanks for watching, and those who have supported and continue to support the channel. Hitting the old like and subscribe buttons lets YouTube know the video's worth sharing with others. Going that extra step by becoming a channel member provides access to our BattleTech and Hobbying Discord and preferential input on future topics. Until we meet again, take care and go make the world a slightly better place today and tomorrow.